Building a business is a series of fixing problems. There are problems throughout your business, and you're never going to truly scale it unless you get to the bottom of why there are specific issues in your business. So today, I want to talk to you about our approach at CDIO on how we process issues. Processing issues is, in my opinion, the number one way that you're going to grow your business. It doesn't matter how small you are. It doesn't matter how large of a business you are. You are part of. You're going to be faced with problems and issues. And so I think it's important that you learn, if you don't already, learn the tricks or a methodology to process issues. Okay, so my approach to processing issues has come from a few different places. I'm part of tech, which is called Vistage in the US, the executive committee. That's one method, or there's elements of that method that I bring into our business. There's also like Patrick Bet-David and the value attainment methodology that I bring in, plus what we've read in books, plus our own methods. Plus, I was also a corporate trainer before where we would process issues. So today, it's not a sexy topic. I'm going to be honest. It's not the sexiest of topics, but it can become a lot of fun. And I actually like what gets you up in the morning these days. It's like processing issues and knowing that you've implemented a strategy to get things to the next level. Okay, processing issues. So today I'm going to share my methodology towards processing issues. And also, if you stick to the end, which you might want to, given how great this is going so far, you'll learn more about how I set goals. Okay, how we set goals in our company and how I choose to set goals, and like realistic goals. And it's more than just smart goals, because I'm sure you're thinking, oh, is it going to be smart goals? It's more than that. Okay, all right. So let's get down to it. So how do I actually solve business issues? This has helped us to grow from 0 to 7 figures, to scale up, to be one of Ottawa's fastest growing companies. Okay. So I have my notes here as usual. So why I decided I want to record this is because last week I brought together part of the team here in Ottawa, flew out some people, and we processed issues on the whiteboard. And we'll do this periodically. Okay, we'll spend a full day out of the business to focus on specific issues. Okay, so some ground rules. Before we get into the steps, there's some ground rules when we are processing issues. Okay, and what I'm talking about specifically is like big issues, like meaty things in the company. Okay, things that require like an offsite. Okay, so here's some rules. So no devices. I'm recording on this, but if I wasn't, that sound would have got me in trouble, because if you can hear that sound would have got me in trouble. So no devices at these meetings, and I'll explain more about that. No, let me check this. Like sometimes you'll get into a debate or you'll talk about it like, oh, let me just check Google or ChatGPT or that spreadsheet to see. And when you're processing the issue, the let me check can be a distraction. So we save the let me checks until later. Okay. In the first part, another ground rule is in the first part, no solutions. Okay, no solutions, and I'll explain why in a sec. And then the fourth is respect the group decision. So once we have finished our issue processing, whether it's small or whether it's large, as a team, we respect the final decision that the team has made. And just to build on that quickly, if I'm the one that's outvoted, like I'm the president, I can say, okay, we're going to do it this way or this way or this way. But more often than not, unless it's like a huge budgetary thing, I'm always going to respect what the group decides, because I think that would just be the right thing to do for the business. And really, processing issues is all about doing what's right for the business. Okay, step one. So we're all. So just imagine we're all in a room. Whiteboard is there. Devices are off. Where do we go? Where do we start? So the first part of processing an issue is questions. And so the questions are, and it's questions only. So typically we're asking ourselves
specific questions about the issue at hand. Okay, why do we believe this is happening? Who's responsible for that currently? What's the system or process or tool or resources associated to X? What are the trends that we're seeing happen over and over again? What are clients saying about this issue that we're facing? Have we lost clients because of this issue? Or is it something that is internally that we think is a problem, right? What are the indicators? How are we measuring success? What are the KPIs, right? So these are just like some high level examples of questions that we might ask. But the reason we do this is because typically the answers that come from those questions lead to more questions. And the answers that come from those questions lead to even deeper questions. And the goal here is to do, like, you may be familiar with like the deepest why. The goal here is to get to a collective group deepest why. Because usually the surface level issue is not actually the real issue. The real issue is like a few layers deep. And if you jump straight to solutions, which is why I mentioned that we're not allowed to present solutions in the beginning, without going deep into the whys, you're going to be processing an issue like that's not actually the issue, right? So we usually spend like a good amount of time, I'd say like half an hour to 45 minutes, like actually getting to the deepest why, right? And usually when we're kind of sitting there being like, no, I think that's it. Like that's when we're like, we know. So step 2, of course, as a result of this, is identify actual issues. So from here, what we'll do is this is when we'll start whiteboarding, right? So we'll whiteboard the different issues that came from the questions, right? And the deepest issues, right? So we'll put like issue 1 and issue 2 and issue 3, and this tool or this system is leading us to do that, or the way this is set up, or there's no job title or scope or like job description that covers that, or like we'll come up with everything, like everything, like. And the most recent thing, it was around like doing like split testing and like, are we using the right creative tools, and do we have the right creative processes and things like that, right? So you'll want to have an exhaustive list for our session. Like, so when we were actually in step 1, when we were identifying the questions, we did that as a larger group. But when we actually identified the actual issues and started whiteboarding, we broke out into 2 groups, right? 2 groups of 2 in this situation. And the reason is because if me and Bob are talking and Jim and Mike are talking, right? Like what our group comes up with may be very different than their group. And I know that there might be some confirmation bias if you kind of do it in a large group, right? So this way it kind of separates that. And then when you come back to the table, right? And you share the issues, you have like diverse perspectives from different conversations that weren't influenced by each other. Okay. So at this point, we'll list out the issues on the whiteboard. We'll present it to the other group and like, yeah, we had that too, or right. So we'll get into that. And these are like the issues and like the sub issues, right? Like what are the things that are creating this problem, this big problem? Okay. The next step is more of like, remember before we were saying we don't allow, like, let me check this. Now you can check this, right? So now we've identified all the issues. So as we go back in our groups that we broke out into, and we start to research and process the issue as different groups, right? In this case, right? It can change, but in this case, it was processing the issue separately. So what that actually means is like we have all the issues on the board. We're doing research into like, are there better ways that other companies might be doing this issue, or other businesses doing that, or like what's the best practice for this, or let me check the spreadsheet to see how we're currently doing there, or let me check the workflow or the process to see how we're doing that now, right? So we'll do research on the issues, like on the deepest issues, to start processing, right? So we'll come back again and we'll talk about that. And then what we'll do is start to propose solutions. So how we actually do this, because the problem is if you have a whole laundry list of issues and you then have a laundry list of solutions, you're never going to actually start implementing the solution, right? Unless you have like, an army of people, right? But usually we want to get it down to 1 to 3 proposed solutions to tackle the issues. Okay, So how we get there is a few different methods. So one method that we might sometimes use is prioritization. So if there's a list of, 30 of the deepest whys and sub issues there that are leading to the problems that we're experiencing at the main principal issue, we'll prioritize. We'll say, like, out of this list of 30, what are the top 5, right? And you learn very quickly what isn't really as big of an issue. Doesn't mean it doesn't need to be solved, or doesn't mean it doesn't need to be put on a parking lot, but it absolutely needs to be not like dismissed right now, right? Because we want exponential gain, and the exponential gains are going to be on the, like, getting a few wins under our belt on the biggest 5 priorities. Okay, so that's one way we've done it. Another way that we've done it is like clustering. So we'll actually look at all the issues and be like, hey, like that and that all fall within like ineffective resourcing, right? And this and this falls into time, and this and this falls into communication. So sometimes we'll bucket things and then come up with solutions based on that. So now so this is 2 different methodologies. There's other ways that we've done it. I really like the top 5 priorities, because then it just kind of gets rid of the BS, to be honest. Okay, so then what do? Now we do a mapping exercise. So we'll put the top 5 issues. We'll break out into our groups again, and we'll map issue 1 with a proposed solution 1. And issue 2A with 2A solution, 2B with 2B, and so on and so forth. Okay? And again, the reason we break out when we do this into groups is so that there are similar issues, or sorry, like different solutions for similar issues, right? Which is, excuse me, there are like, you're getting diverse perspectives, basically. And, maybe your solution's better than mine, and mine's better than yours for the other thing, right? So it's looking at things in different ways, okay? Okay, so then what we do is we present our proposed solutions, which are mapped. Make sure they're mapped, because if they're not mapped, then it's just fluff, right? Map 1 to problem 1, solution 1. Problem 2, solution 2. I know I said it, but it's that important. Okay, and then you want to fine tune it. So based on that, you want to get it down to like 1 to 3. 1 to 3, what we call rocks in our company, or goals that you might have that are going to, you're going to be able to tackle on Monday morning, knowing that you're going to start to make momentum on the issue at hand, right? Now, if you're already having an off-site meeting, or you're taking time to process the issue, or doing kind of the exercise that I just walked you through, like, it's already meaty enough. It's big enough. Because sometimes what happens is the solutions come up and you're like, oh, this doesn't seem so bad after all. And it's like, well, if it wasn't, you wouldn't be in the room. You wouldn't have taken a day to do that, right? So, you have to get out of the business to work on the business. And then a risk is once you're back in the business, you're going to think the stuff that you worked on the business isn't important anymore. It is, okay? So as simple as the solutions might sound, you have to implement them right away. You got to get the ball rolling on those things. Okay, so how? Right? At the beginning I said, if you stuck around, thank you. Hope you enjoyed the methodology. Again, it's questions, no solutions. Identify actual issues, research process, propose solutions, mapping them, and then fine-tuning the solutions down to 1 to 3 initiatives, rocks, goals, whatever your company calls them. Okay? So, again, if you stuck around this long, thank you. Appreciate it. Goals. Okay, so where do we take it from here? Because you might say, okay, we have all these solutions now. How do we implement it? Okay, so I did mention off the top that I would share our approach. Okay, so SMART goals, right? It's not just that. Okay, so that is part of it, but that's kind of what is it? Par for the course, I think they call it, right? I'm not even going to go through the acronyms. Okay, if you know a SMART goal, good. If you don't, check out some of my other videos, or Google SMART goals, okay? So SMART goals is minimum. You have to have a SMART goal, okay? Second thing is RACI matrix, right? Responsible, accountable, consulted, informed, okay? One person only for these outcomes is accountable, so that in a month from now, or a week from now, or whenever it is, whatever the timeline is, based on the SMART goal, I can go to that person and say, hey, Bob, remember that session we had? What's going on with that, right? So one accountable person. That one accountable person can then make whoever they want responsible, consulted, informed. They usually have to create a RACI matrix. In our company, for any rock in the company, you have a SMART goal, you have a RACI matrix, and you have milestones. And milestones are like, by this date, this is going to happen. By that date, that's going to happen. Right? And they all tie together. It's important. It's imperative. Goals won't happen unless you do these things. Okay? So, one accountable person, right? One SMART goal, one milestones sheet with clear milestones, and a manager has to have seen it. You have to bring in other people. There's a lot of cross-functional work that happens as a result of it. It's great. It makes it fun. It makes it amazing. It actually makes it amazing. I enjoy work every day. I enjoy our business because we're processing issues and we're doing it in a cross-functional way because you get to interact with other people. You get to leverage other people's skill sets and hear diverse opinions. So this is how to actually solve business problems in your business. It's processing issues. Use this methodology. And if you enjoyed this video, click on one of these other ones because we're on a roll here. If you've been enjoying these videos, click on one of these other ones. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.